Hello and welcome back to the Motorsport Bear Talk podcast. I'm your host DD and joining me today once again is my friend and your co-host Vedant. On this episode, we'll be talking about round 10 and 11 of the Formula E World Championship. So let's grab some chai, take our seats, ready our opinions, and dive right into the conversation. Vedant, an absolutely typical Formula E race weekend. A roller coaster for everyone, and what a shuffle in the championship order, both drivers and constructors. Um, what are your thoughts? I mean, it's like everything that the teams had done up until round 9 has just been washed away with the performances over round 10 and 11. Mercedes didn't score a single point and they're sitting 5th in the championship, Constructors' Championship now. Nick De Vries, who was leading the championship at one point and was still, a contender, is sitting in 10th place right now. And Edo Mortara, who was leading after round 9, again, didn't score any points and is now in 4th place, 9 points behind Sam Bird, who's the current championship leader with 81 points. And Envision Virgin Racing team, who were kind of contending the championship, are now leading, but with just 2 points. And Jaguar Racing is back into contention after a great weekend for them with 141 points. I mean, what is happening? And there's just 4 more rounds to go, and we still don't know who's going to be winning the championship. I mean, this is the best rundown to the final few races for the Formula E season. And Formula E just announced their calendar for 2022 season 2. So, I mean, there's a lot going on in Formula E, and it's so difficult to wrap my head around it.
Exactly. And I mean, last season was an outlier for Formula E because Antonio Felix da Costa won by so many points we can't even count them. But I think this is what a typical Formula E season looks like, and it is just so enjoyable to watch. It's frustrating, don't get me wrong. It's very frustrating watching Formula E, but the championship fight and like every single point matters so much, and especially going into these last 4 rounds.
I mean, I didn't catch the first race, but watching the highlights back for the entire weekend, it's just been crazy. And looking at how things have shuffled up. So why don't you give us a rundown of what happened during round 10 and 11 of the Formula E Championship in New York City this past weekend? Honestly, going into the weekend, I wasn't a really big fan of the track, of the Formula E track that they made, but definitely it made for some really good racing throughout the weekend somehow. So, kudos to them for that.
Yeah, I think the New York track is a typical Formula E circuit with those tight turns and all these things. But yeah, the round, like race 10, Nick Cassidy bagged his second pole of the season. Brilliant. I mean, he is having a good season so far, Nick Cassidy. His debut season. And he's just showing his potential. He has won almost everything back in New Zealand and Japan, and now he is here competing at the world stage and just showing his potential. Obviously, Jean-Eric Vergne was P2 after a tight fight for pole, and Alex Lynn, Maxi Gunter, Sebastian Buemi and Pascal Wehrlein completed the Super Pole group. Sebastian Buemi has been so up and down this entire season, and I mean it was good to see him competing for Super Pole, but
I mean he's definitely had a bad season compared to Sebastian Buemi in Formula E that he was he was a force to be reckoned with, and compared to that he's definitely had a really disappointing season. But like you said, it was definitely good to see him back into Super Pole. He was in Group 4, so that was something that we've been expecting from him for a long time now, and hopefully he'll be back. It's a little late this season, but hopefully he'll be back in full force next season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So the current championship leader, Sam Bird, had a roller coaster weekend, and it all started with a crash in practice in the final turn in the last few minutes. So his team had to, work all out, and even his race engineer was working on the car to rebuild the car and get it ready for...
They only finished the rebuild like 6 seconds before the park family rules kicked in for qualifying.
Yeah,
it was that close.
Exactly. So, and I mean, that did they did get it ready, but that was still a disastrous qualifying for him because he had. I mean, I think his footwell cover came loose and he crashed with Oliver Rowland.
Oliver Rowland.
And then because of the red flag and the Formula E rules, all the cars in that group had the chance to do one clean lap again, but Buemi was Sam Bird was still only 20th fastest. Roland managed to get eighth quickest and showed the pace he has been showing all season, but definitely a tricky qualifying for them. And Nick Cassidy and like in the race now, Nick Cassidy and Jean-Eric Verne were fighting throughout, and it was so good to see such kind of fighting in Formula E because it was, I guess it was 4 cars fighting for that P1, and Jean-Eric Verne was pressuring Nick Cassidy every lap more and more, and there was some difference in the power use, and I think that's how Jean-Eric Verne could. And yeah, Jean-Eric Verne had a power fan boost, and that made all the difference in the end of the day for Nick Cassidy because Jeff went for the move, lost clashed with Cassidy, and Maxi Gunther made an opportunistic pass for P1. Cassidy falls down to 4th. Jeff stays 2nd and Degrassi takes 3rd. So Cassidy losing 3 places in the space of 1 corner. Absolutely devastating for him. And then his teammate Robin Fries was 5th, who matched Edo Mortara in the championship after race 10. Mortara himself finished 14th and couldn't score any points. So that was...
I mean, Edo Mortara had a disastrous qualifying. He was like a second and a half off the fastest time before Super Pole because he couldn't get into like the qualifying mode, qualifying power mode. So he only had 200 kilowatts of power going into his fast lap. So that was a disastrous start to the weekend for Edo Mortara.
Yeah, and I mean Sebastian Buemi had an impressive race, like half a race, because he was running 3rd for a while, and I think he fell down to 6th at the end of the race ahead of his teammate Oliver Rowland. Andre Lotterer, again a veteran who has not been showing his what he is made of this season. He's been struggling. He finished P7 I think, and Sam Bird finished P9th, get those 2 points and complete a roller coaster of a day after starting 20th.
Absolutely, but it was only going to get better for Sam Bird from there after he qualified on pole on Sunday for round 11 and took a dominating victory from there. He was way ahead of any of the competition. He didn't really face any difficulty really. Mitch Evans was playing the team game after Jaguar qualified 1 and 2 for round 11 on Sunday, and Mitch Evans played the team game, let Sam Bird through after Sam Bird took the attack mode, he came out behind Mitch Evans. But then Mitch Evans had an issue. What could have been a Jaguar 1-2 finish at the end of the race, and Jaguar would have been leading the championship. Mitch Evans lost power. I don't know what happened. Definitely technical failure there. After he hit, I think he hit the barrier coming out of a turn, and after that he lost pace. It wasn't a technical issue. Pardon me for that. And then he fell down to 6th or 7th place on Sunday's race. So kind of disappointing there, but definitely made his teammates race, and now his teammate is leading the championship, and Jaguar Racing is in contention for the championship.
Yeah, and Mitch Evans even had an issue in the race 10. His car just cut out and stopped on track. So a typical Formula E roller coaster weekend for Jaguar Racing. They'll be happy that Sam Bird is leading championship and they are in the contention for the team's championship. But Sam Bird was 13th in the championship after round 10, and he climbed 13 places. I can't comprehend that. It only happens in Formula E. It's just so it's a random number. from 13 to
I mean,
first.
only 13 points separate the top six. So Sam Bird is sitting at 81, and John Eric Won in sixth place is sitting on 68, and then it's Renan Ross at 61, Mitch Evans in seventh place on 60, in eighth place on 60, and then Pascal Wehrlein 60, Nick DeVries in 10th place on 59, and Oliver Rowland on 59. So with 4 races to go, you still don't know who your championship winner is going to be.
Definitely. And talking about championship, the team's championship contenders, Envision Virgin Racing, Nick Cassidy had like a good weekend. We talked about race 10. In race 11, he finished P2 after Mitch Evans's incident. So that gives him, I think, his first or second podium of the season, his rookie season. Da Costa finished P3 for his first podium since his Monaco win. But the rivalry between Lucas Di Grassi and Sebastian Buemi, the greatest Formula E rivalry of all time, of 7 seasons really, is still going. And I think this is their third or fourth incident in this season itself. Di Grassi, I mean, they can't just catch a break, both of them.
I mean, only they are to blame. They keep coming together again and again and again, and it just seems they can't be separated from each other. But coming out of this weekend, we also saw Maximilian Gunther, just getting points for BMW Andretti on home soil, getting that win for BMW Andretti on home soil, and we've seen both Maximilian Gunther and Jake Dennis do better and better as they've progressed throughout the season. Yes, Jake Dennis didn't have a great weekend, but that's just Formula E. Inconsistency is the name of the game in Formula E. That's one way to put it. If it's like FIA stewards racing, in Formula E. So that's what's going on. But BMW Andretti Autosport team could be a fair contender going into the next season because they have definitely put in the work, and they are scoring points consistently. They're not on the top, but they're definitely in the bottom 2, bottom 4 in the points every now and then. And we saw Jake Dennis win in Valencia, I think, from pole. It was a boring race, but regardless, it's not easy to just simply win in Formula E, as we've seen so far. But other than that, the DS Techeetah team, we always knew they were a force to reckon with. They've always been a force to reckon with in Formula E. And with John Eric Won and Antonio Felix da Costa finally coming back into the season, they had a slow start, but they're sitting on 144 points, and I think they are the favorites going to the last 4 races to win the championship. At least the Constructors' Championship, even if they don't win the Drivers' Championship, because they have a lot of experience in there, and those are drivers who've been in high pressure situations before. They aren't rookies in Formula E, and they have a lot of wealth of experience behind them. And I think just simply finishing in points regularly over the next 4 races will be the key to winning the championship for any team.
Yeah, I think that is the key to success in Formula E, consistency. Because, I mean, you said inconsistency is the name of the game, but if you are consistent, that means you are performing every weekend. And
absolutely,
especially with the format of qualifying in Formula E and the mixed grids we have, it's very easy to get surprise winners and surprise podiums, and very difficult to have to dominate a championship. But it's going to be a spectacular end to the season.
Absolutely. Anything else about this past weekend? And we know we'll be going to London for the next Formula E rounds. It's a double header in London, so I think that's going to be a really exciting race, especially for I don't know if there's going to be spectators for the race, but I think going to London is just exciting in general, and having some Formula E cars racing around the streets of London is a really exciting prospect for me.
Yeah, and the track itself is a very unique track because there's some it's a semi-indoors track, and there's some elevation, there's a ramp and all these stuff. It's a unique track even for Formula E standards, so it's going to be fun. But talking about the general Formula E storylines, we have heard news. I'm not sure if this has been confirmed, but the race reported that Oliver Rowland has signed for Mahindra Racing, which means one of the Alexes will have to leave. I'm not sure who it will be, because both of them have been performing on a consistent level, and like there's no clear winner in among them, so it's going to be difficult. But even with Maxi Gunter's performance over the last few weekends, the silly season talks in Formula E have started. It's not as prominent as Formula 1, obviously, and it's not as famous, but definitely Formula E silly season is on.
Absolutely. And talking about silly season, we forgot to mention that Nico Müller won't be racing with the Dragon Penske team anymore. Joel Eriksson will be, replacing him at the team. So another rookie in Formula E starting his career. And in another Formula E news, I mentioned before that Formula E announced their 2021-2022 season calendar, and Formula E will be going to Vancouver, Seoul, and I'm forgetting
Cape Town
for that season. So I think that's exciting. New places, new destinations, and I think that's going to be exciting again. That means new circuits. So much more criticism coming from E's way. But
and I mean, on a positive note, finally a world championship in Africa. I mean, we can't be happier.
Absolutely,
And
that is true.
Cape Town is probably the ideal place to have a Formula E race in Africa. And I mean, I can't wait to see what the layout looks like, because I've been to Cape Town and it's a beautiful place. So it's going to be very interesting.
Absolutely. Well, that's all from our side. Thank you, Vedant, for joining. And we'll catch you all next weekend. Yep, next weekend. So see you all there.